Good morning, good morning, good morning. Happy Friday, happy Friday, happy Friday. Thank you all for tuning in on this Friday morning. How are you guys doing? It's Friday, y'all, right? Okay, so I'm not gonna keep you long. I know it's early, but the early bird gets the worm, right? Okay, so we're talking about this morning 5 ways to boost your book sales. So let me just get all of my things together here, y'all. And if you're tuning in on Facebook, good morning, good morning. Welcome. If you're tuning in on YouTube, to all my YouTube listeners, grab your pen, grab a friend, tag a friend, because I'm going to drop some jewels today. So these are the 5 ways to boost book sales. Good morning, Miss Johnny. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Happy Friday. So these are 5 ways to boost your book sales, right? This is for my author community. If you're an aspiring author, if you are an established author and you've published a book and the book sales have died down, well, I'm going to show you 5 simple ways to boost your book sales, okay? So let's get started. Let me make sure my phone is on not disturb. We gonna get right to it, y'all. Okay, okay. And shout out to LinkedIn. Shout out to those that are tuning in from LinkedIn. Thank you all for tuning in. So let's get started. So today I wanted to talk about this. The month of September is monetizing your book. So this is the series that I'm doing for this month. So a little bit about me. I started my very first business at the age of 23. I was the youngest woman of color in my local city to open up an ice cream shop. And it was fun. It was exciting. And the one thing I liked about it was that it allowed me to grow my passion for entrepreneurship. This is what birthed the first ice cream shop that I had. Was it birthed my first book. So again, your book will definitely make room for you if you truly believe in it, right? So what do I mean by that? You have to believe in your book, your brand, and your business, or yourself for that matter. A lot of us we have great ideas, but we don't believe that we can do this very thing, right? So you can do it if you truly believe you can do it. And I'm just a living witness to that. So we're gonna get right into it. Once I started my first business, I then wrote my first edition of Ready Set Go, a simple guide to establishing a successful small business. And there is where I realized that our startups needed some help. We needed help with, starting a business, because we'll start a business and we will market that business to everybody and won't have a clue as to who our business is for, right? So I wanted to have that book so that I could help out the community. And that led me to, helping purpose driven entrepreneurs get clarity on their ideal customer and build business brand, biz, oh, build their business brand. Dang, I can't talk this morning. By providing business development strategies that generates revenue. So if you have not already, if you miss the how I turned my $20 book into a 5-figure business, save the date, September 22nd at 6 p.m. We're gonna start this thing all over again. The link is there. I'll drop the link in the description, but open up your phone, open up your screen, and sign up. It's for September 22nd. That's next Thursday at 6 p.m. Join us, because it's real. We drop some jewels in this workshop, and it's free. It's free. So it's how I turned my $20 book into a 5-figure business. Okay. So number one, this is the first thing you need to do. This is one of the 5 ways to boost book sales, right? Number one is you need to develop a strong author brand. That is the first thing that you need to do. You need to develop a strong author brand. And what do I mean by that? Well, if nobody knows that you exist, nobody knows to buy what you're selling. I'm going to say that again. If nobody knows that you exist, nobody knows to buy what you're selling. So if you have this book, and the book, you're just, hey, buy my book, here's my book is on Amazon, go purchase my book. You're just, it's like you're selling and praying at the same time that somebody will buy the book, right? And that's not how this thing works. That's not how you boost your book sales. I mean, some people may buy off of sympathy, or charity, but you really want to be clear when you're boosting, when you're selling a thing, whether it's a book, whether it's a service. Remember, you have to build the brand first. You have to build that brand first. Okay, so we're gonna build a brand. So here's the benefits of having a brand. When you build that brand, you build trust with your audience. You build credibility because you're showing up. You're consistently showing up with for your audience, right? You're consistently showing up for the people that need this very thing the most, right? And you're also building brand equity. Now, I'm gonna give you an example of what brand equity looks like. So we all know Starbucks, right? Y'all know I love to use Starbucks. Y'all know I love to use Chick-fil-A, right? So Starbucks and Chick-fil-A, what I've noticed about them, they don't do much like commercial TV marketing because, their logo, they've put enough brand equity, sweat equity in the business that the name speaks for itself. The logo speaks for itself. So if you see the logo of Chick-fil-A, right? If you see that logo of Chick-fil-A, you already know what you're going to get. Yeah, you're going to pay premium prices for their products, but the service, hands down, come on now. Come on, right? The service, hands down, is it's my pleasure. How can I have the pleasure of serving you today? Right? Everybody, I never have seen a Chick-fil-A employee with an attitude. Never at all. At all. Right? So again, it's an experience. And people pay for experiences. Does that make sense? Okay, so let's get to Starbucks. Starbucks, when you see their logo, you already know that you're going to pay premium prices for their coffee. I don't care what it is you're buying. A frappuccino, a mocha latte, a medicine ball, whatever it is, you're going to get the price. You're gonna pay that price, right? Even if it's a banana nut loaf, when you see that logo, you already know, you can identify that, oh, I'm gonna get this type of coffee or this type of product because they have built up enough sweat equity, brand equity, right, in their brand. People know them by just the logo, and they don't have to do all these commercials. Their name speaks for itself, and they have built up enough brand equity, right, that they can charge the premium prices for their products and services. Does that make sense? So if it makes sense to you, drop a make sense in the comment, right? So again, that's the benefit of having a brand, because you build trust with your community, you build the credibility of your community, and you create brand equity in your community, right? Okay, okay. I know. I just love this, right? So this is number 2 of the 5 ways to boost your book sales. You want to create compelling book content, right? So what does that mean? So you have to show your people like what it is your book is about without telling them what it's about, right? And creating compelling book content, it's going to require that effort and time. We keep saying that, effort and time. You have to put forth effort and time when you're creating content. It you have to create the content. Or if you have somebody on your team that's going to create the content, they need to know exactly what your brand is about, right? So Miss Johnny said I would drive miles to find a Chick-fil-A. Yes, I'm telling you, like Chick-fil-A, the service is hands out. I'm just saying. So here's the benefits of creating content. So I want y'all to see this. I'm gonna get a little bit, bring this up a little bit. So here are the benefits of creating content. Number one, it increases your conversions, right? It increases, what I mean by that, it increases the percentage of people purchasing your book, your product, your services, right? It also builds customer awareness. So by creating content, you're making your community of people, which is your ideal customer, reader, it brings awareness to your brand and to the product and services that you're selling. So it builds customer awareness, right? And then number three, it generate more leads. Having creating content will help generate more leads into your funnel. Just saying. I'm just saying. So there are benefits to creating content, and a lot of us may look at other people and see that what they have, how they're doing, posting content. But let me tell you, it's important. You need content. So I'll give you an example of content. This live, in the description, in the description, I said, "Are you an author who is looking for ways to increase book sales? If so, you're in the right place. Join me as I discuss 5 simple ways to boost your book sales." Now, that's content. That's content. Does that make sense? That's content. Just saying. That's just content about this live right now. Okay, move right along. Number three, the third way to boost book sales, right? You got to utilize social media platforms. And let me just say this. I want to let me say this. I was looking at listening to a podcast, and a lot of the comedians, like now the up and coming comedians, they're utilizing social media for their content. Like they're using it as a business tool, which you should be doing that, right? So utilize social media platforms as much as you possibly can. Now, I'm not saying you're all utilize all of them. If that's your deal, that's your deal, but you're gonna burn out quick. You're gonna burn out quick. I'm just saying. Pick a platform and master that platform, right? Maybe you're gonna take a year to master that platform. Maybe you're gonna take 6 months to master a platform. But you have to know where your audience is the most active. Whatever social media platform they're the most active, that's where you should be. I'm just saying. Just saying. So so this is why you will need to establish your social media. Here are some of the social media platforms that you may need to utilize. So it could be Facebook, it could be Instagram, it could be LinkedIn. Maybe your audience is on Facebook. Maybe they're most active on Facebook, right? Maybe your audience is active on Instagram. If you're an author, most authors are on Instagram promoting their book. But if you are a author with a business self-help book and your goal is to go and speak and consult with people, then you might want to think about LinkedIn. Yes, Instagram is good, but you might want to think about LinkedIn specifically if you want to go and speak. I'm just saying. I'm just saying, if you want to take your book and go speak, I'm just saying. Y'all see, the sun is shining. The sun has shined. It's gonna be a great day, y'all. So listen, you want to establish these social media accounts so that you could utilize them to post the content. I talked about content before this one, but you want to utilize that social media platform that get you the most results, right? That get you the most engagement, to get you the most conversions, right? So I see it a lot. I see people everywhere. They're on Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok, Instagram, Clubhouse. I know I was there. I did it. I did it all. And let me tell you something. You talking about burnout? Burn out. Completely out. So you got to figure out where are you. Listen, you could have a coach and your coach can tell you you need to just post like your coach, maybe your coach is on Instagram and Facebook. That might work for them, their business model. But you got to figure out what works for you and where your community of people are the most active. Okay? Got to find that out. So number four, this is the fourth way to boost book sales, right? This is the fourth way, the simple way to boost book sales. You got to invest in the book publicity, right? So what does that look like? So book publicity is simply a PR campaign. How are you getting in front of audiences? How are you getting your brand out here? How do people know that you even exist? Do you have a press release for your book? Did you have you had a press release for your book? I'm just saying. I'm just saying. So think about that. Think about how can I how can I get a publicity? So let me give you some tips on how to do that. So you want to create a PR campaign. And what does you may be saying, Stephanie? Well, what is a PR campaign? Well, a PR campaign is where it's how you get exposure to the media, to press, right? You want to have a book press release, right? You also want to do podcast interviews, right? You also want to do online magazine features. Maybe you're going to be featured in Forbes. Maybe you're going to be featured in entrepreneur.com. Maybe you're going to be featured in inc.com. So, what are you doing to get featured? Maybe you're going to be featured on TV. All of this is a part of your PR campaign. And if you have a book, you really should be incorporating this in your marketing strategy, right? A lot of us, we sit and we just ponder and we want to utilize the networks that we currently have. And sometimes once you maximize those the ones that you're comfortable with, right? Those networks that you're comfortable with, sometimes you have to go, a lot of times you have to go outside of those networks, right? And to do that, you got to get on different platforms. And that's by creating a PR campaign, right? Are you doing podcast interviews? How are you pitching the podcast? That will result in you pitching to podcasts. I'm just saying, right? How are you doing it? So remember, you got to create this PR campaign because it's going to help you get your book in front of a different audience, different set of eyes, instead of the audience that you're complacent with. Okay? All right. So, step number 5. This is step number 5. You should be hosting book events and signings. You should be hosting book events and signings. So, I'm going to ask you this. I want you all to really, for my authors who are listening in, and even if you're not an author, maybe you have music, maybe you're an artist, right? Does your music and is the cover of your CD or your album or your single, does your cover, are you comfortable with the cover? Is it worthy to be on a platform, somebody else's platform besides yours, right? Does it meet the criteria? Before you host a book event and a signing, you need to make sure that your book is legible, that is clean, the graphics are clear before you start having events and book signings. And I'm saying this because a lot of us just throw things together. You just put things together. Oh, just because people tell you, oh, just get the book, get the book published without having some type of poise about your book or about your CD or your song, right? Your album. You are the face of your brand. And how you show up for your brand with your graphics, the way you look, it's important, right? Some of us just throw things together. We put selfies on things that it shouldn't be there. And then we get upset when you pitch to these events and you want to have events, you have no headshots, you have no and professional pictures. That's what headshots are for those that want to know. You don't have any of these things. And so these are tools that you have before you sell any books or boost your sales. You need to have these things in place because people are coming to you as the expert and they want to be able, hey, when you go to Chick-fil-A, it's the same thing. Chick-fil-A even have their employees, listen, let me tell you, and I asked them for this too. One of the employees had on this red and white square, like checkerboard business polo shirt. It was so nice. Oh, it was so nice. I say, listen, I need one of those shirts. I need one of those shirts. You know what I'm saying? Like, It was so clean, like their uniform, like I'm just saying. But they show up. When they show up for the brand, they're showing up. They're showing up. It's collared, buttoned down, right? So show up for your book like you would if you were going to win a Grammy or an Emmy. Show up for you got because you're representing this, especially if it's for the world to see. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. So again, number 5, you should be hosting book events. So that it what you may be asking, okay, what is that? And I'm gonna show you. Here's how to host book events and signings, right? So first you want to research the bookstores, right? Research the bookstores that you want to host a book signing. So if you're aspiring to write a book, you should be doing this before you start the publishing process because you want to know. So as you start the publishing process, hey, I already know what bookstore I'm going to. I already know the organization I'm going to pitch to, right? So research events. You could do it on Google search, right? Or you can set up Google alerts for certain events. That's just a jewel I'm gonna drop for you. Google alerts. So if it's speaking engagement or women conferences, Google Alerts will alert you when there's one available, right? And then do research speaking opportunities. Same thing, Google Alerts. You see what I'm saying? So these are how, like, this is what you need to do. You got to research. Research the events, research the bookstores, and research speaking opportunities. If you are an author speaker and you want to go and speak, this is what you need to be doing. You need to create a list of the organizations and bookstores of the places that you want to go speak, right? And get in front of other audiences, right? So, this is what we're doing. You got to do these things so that you can boost these book sales. Yes, it requires work, and I get it. I get it. I get it. I so get it. So, here's the next steps. So you need to build your platform first. You need to build that author brand first. If you're not an author and you're tuning in and you have a business, same thing. You still need to build a platform first. And what is that platform? That could be your landing page or your website, right? You want to be able to, because when people look you up, and they're going to do that, specifically if you're asking to be on somebody's podcast, they're going to do the research. I just don't, when someone pitches me to be a guest on my podcast, I have to do my research because their information may not align with my information. I'm just saying. So, and then you also want to write out your author brand goals. What are the goals for your book? Is your goals to take this book and go and teach or coach or consult or speak? What are the goals for your book? Have you even thought about that? A lot of us get the books in our hands and we just take off. We just start selling, selling, selling. We'll sell so many books, and then once it plateau, then what? Then nobody hears about the book again. It's gone. Nobody even hears from the author for that matter, because they've just given up. But I'm just this is really good information, right? So I'm telling you, these are the next step. Build your platform first so that you can build the trust, so that you can build the brand equity, right? So that you can get the brand awareness. Okay. So here are the 3 author business tips takeaways for this week, right? First, I want you to identify and define your brand. Create your brand first. You got to create the brand first. Remember, if nobody knows that you exist as this author, nobody's going to buy what you're selling. So, number 2, create a marketing strategy. In that marketing strategy, you should have content marketing. Like your content, that's the content that you're going to lead the people to your book. You educate them. Maybe you inspire them. You motivate them. Maybe you'll post something about motivation. Maybe you'll post something about inspiration. Or whatever you post, make sure it aligns back to the very thing that you're selling, which is your book. Does that make sense? So Miss Johnny said, wow, the golden nuggets that you are sharing makes sense. Awesome, awesome. So again, number 3, make sure you need to get PR exposure. PR stands for public relations. For those that are asking, what does PR mean? Public relations. So you need to create a public relations campaign for brand awareness. You do a PR campaign to get you in front of people. And then if you ever notice how people, for those that are tuning in, you ever notice that when you see people, they are on their website, they'll say as seen in Huffington Post, as seen on Google News, Yahoo News, as seen on Forbes, as featured in Forbes, featured in Entrepreneur. That's PR. That's it. That's it. It's public relations. So again, you need to create a campaign for a brand awareness, right? So I want you all to save the date. This is next Thursday, September the 22nd at 6 p.m. The How I Turned My $20 Book into a 5-Figure Business. Now listen, this I want you all to listen. So when you're trying to boost sales for your book, you got to be clear on like the process. Like, why am I doing this? What's the goal, right? What is the goal of this book? What's the plan for this book? What's the purpose for me writing this book? You need to know this before you start talking about boosting sales or getting more sales. Does that make sense? So this step is important because sometimes it's so much noise going on social media that we lose sight of why did I do this? Why did I do this in the first place? So again, join us on next Thursday at 6 p.m. The How I Turned My $20 Book into a 5-Figure Business workshop. It starts at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And here's what you'll learn. You'll learn how to build a 6-figure author brand before selling your book, right? Which is what I talked about. You got to build a brand first. We'll also you'll learn what tools you'll need to create a successful book marketing strategy. You should have a marketing strategy set up for your book, right? And it should include email marketing. It should also include content. If you have email marketing, you have content. That's content. I'm just saying. A lot of us have businesses. We don't even have email marketing as a part of the marketing strategy, right? We don't even have a marketing plan. And what I do know about authors, one thing I do know that you do not have, some of us, not all, but some hadn't even thought about a marketing plan. Haven't even thought about a marketing strategy. They just have this book. Your goal is to go and speak at schools for my children's book authors. You want to go and speak at schools. You're focused on bulk sales. There's nothing wrong with bulk sales. But what's next? What's next after the bulk sales? Someone buy 100 books. What's next? Just saying. What's next after that? Do you have a plan, a year plan, a marketing strategy? Are you going to be doing book events, book signings as a part of the marketing strategy, right? So again, you got to have these tools in place before you start selling. And if you've already published and you've already sold, that's fine. This workshop is still for you. And then also you're going to learn how to pitch your book to bookstores and organizations and corporations. A lot of you want to take your book and go speak. Many of you don't know how to pitch. Many of you have been pitching wrong, incorrectly, right? Many of you have been sending mass emails out in Google or Yahoo or whatever email software you use. You blind copy everybody. That's not it. I'm just saying, that's not it. So join us. These are the things that you're going to learn, next Thursday, September 22nd, 6 p.m., How I Turned My $20 Book into a 5-Figure Business. Remember, nobody told me how to market my book. I had a publisher on my first book. Nobody told me how to market it, but I knew I needed to do something. I knew that that book wasn't going to sell itself. And that's been over what, 5 years ago? I knew that book was not going to sell itself. So many of you may have a product or a service and you haven't been pushing it because you think it's going to sell itself. That's not the case. Okay. So I hope these tips, these simple ways was good and helped you with your book. So today I want you to go out and build the brand first. We talked about building the brand. We talked about you need to create content. We talked about you utilizing social media, right? Even with utilizing social media, how your content needs to be speak directly to your audience, that community of people. So again, you got to learn these things. All of these things you can learn, and it's simplistic. It doesn't have to be complicated. We make things complicated because we put things in our mind that we just make up things. That wasn't even there. Just saying. So grab your seat to the how I turned my $20 book into a five-figure business. Let me put the link across the screen here so you can register there. And remember, if nobody knows that you exist as an author, nobody's going to buy what you're selling. I'm your girl, Stephanie A. Wynn. Thank you all for tuning in this Friday morning. Until next time, bye.